everyone and welcome along. We are on the penultimate row of our advent calendar, which is crazy. So let's see what we're painting on the 17th of December. Oh, a lovely gingerbread house. Well, that is fantastic. Shall we grab our paints and let's get started? I messed that up. I can't believe it. Anyway, let's get started. Considering the theme of my, you can't see them now, but I've got gingerbread houses on the design. It feels only right to do one. So we're going to do a simple one. So I'm drawing myself a house. And the roof is going to come down over the top with some lovely icing snow. Going to have a chimney sort of up the middle with snow coming out the top, and I'll have a few lollipops or a few sweets sticking in, and then we'll have a nice door, and I think a star window will be fun. So you can just sort of neaten up the shape after you've drawn it, and we'll do 2 windows. The thing I love about gingerbread houses is they can really be whatever you make them. So I'm going to have a gingerbread biscuit Christmas tree outside, and maybe a few more sweets and lollipops. Another one in the snow. Okay, that's nice. We'll just get our eraser, rub that out a little bit, and then we can start painting. So for the gingerbread house, we want a nice rich brown, but also with a bit of red in there as well for the gingery colour. So that's going to be lovely. And then for all the sweets and things, I love red and green. So we'll just use some bright red and bright greens. And get those ready to go. It's just always good to have them sort of woken up and good to go in your palette, rather than just pulling colour straight from here. And then the last thing is the snow, or the icing. We're going to do one of our dilute shadow tones to create the appearance of the impression of white by using a slightly more bluey shadow. Might try a little bit of Prussian blue in there actually. Yeah, if I dilute that down enough, that might be quite nice. Okay, I think I'll start with the gingerbread. And depending on how much control you feel you've got with the brushes, choose your brush. I think for me, size 0 is great because it's small enough to get into these little nooks and crannies, but it's got enough sort of coverage to be able to paint these things in quite fast, because I want to try and get a smooth, even finish. Try and avoid the hard lines when the paint dries. And if you want to leave any more sort of white icing detail on elements of the gingerbread house, remember to just leave that unpainted. I'm now going to paint in some of the lollipops, and you could sort of paint in the colour first and do detail over the top, or you could go sort of onto the white. I might just add in a little one there as well. Okay, so that's all good. And then the other thing is I'm going to do some sort of stained glass windows, the way that you do it with like crushed up sweets. So I'm just going to pop in, okay, sort of dilute coloured window there. And I think I'll do the same colour for all of them actually. Nice, so we just need to let that all dry and then we can add more detail. Time to add some snow. Some of my colours are running into each other on the palette, but that's okay. So I'm just using a very, very faint dilute colour to sort of outline and then add a little bit of shadow. And also for things like the lollipop stick as well. That can work. And then along the ground, you could add a few little lumps and bumps if you wanted. That looks rather nice. Okay, time for a little bit more on the gingerbread house. So a bit of a glaze. So I'm just adding that extra layer, which creates a slight sense of shadow, slight sense of depth. Just makes your illustration look way better. And then I can add a few little slightly more concentrated details. So I'm just going to keep it going with glazes. So if you're wondering, a glaze is a translucent layer painted over the top of a layer that's already dried. And the last thing I realised I want to do is I want to put a few candy canes in here. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of something. I'm going to stick one here. So I'm just using the snow colour. I'm going to pop one in, sort of coming out the roof as you do. Just want a bit more joy from it, and maybe one coming out the chimney. And I think I'll also add some green, dark green little window panes. And some little sort of dotty sweets around the edge of our star and around our door. So once these candy canes dry, which should be any moment now, I can add some stripes. And there you have a lovely gingerbread house. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.